This afternoon, President Obama held his final news conference of the year before making his way west to Hawaii for Christmas vacation. He tried to dismiss any notion he'll be a lame duck president in his last year in the White House by boasting he's never been more optimistic about a year ahead than he is for 2016. The president touched on a number of subjects, including the war against ISIS, vowing to defeat the terror network by cutting off their supply lines, taking out leadership, infrastructure, and more. He also warned there would still be setbacks.
We're seeing steadily progress in many of these areas. And so they're going to be on the run. Whenever I say that we have made progress in squeezing the territory that they control or made real inroads against them, what people will say is, well, if something happens around the world, then obviously that must not be true. But in any battle, in any fight, even as you make progress, there's still dangers involved.
KG, low energy. I didn't really hear anything new today, did you?
Yeah, I don't know, but my expectation level is so low. It's so little at this point that I'm kind of not surprised. I mean, but enough already. Like, you're kind of wasting everyone's time. If you're not going to come out there and have something to say of some import or significance, you must just like hearing yourself speak.
Then he said, what do we cut back ISIS territory by 40%, but offered nothing new, no new strategy.
So this is a traditional end-of-the-year press conference. They've signaled 3 days ago that they were going to do it, and usually you would like to have something. Now, he says he's never been more optimistic about a year of his presidency, but he didn't really sound like it. And also, every president says that because you don't want your last year to be your lame duck year, but you know that it is. So you have to try to do as much as you can, and I think that he really wanted this press conference to be about a big victory lap that he was taking in 2015. But his numbers are down, and I think the fact that circumstances and a terrorist attack have really changed things for him. The thing I didn't like about the ISIS piece is when he says they've seen steady progress of these areas, and so they're going to be on the run, which to me, 14, 16 months after he said we were destroy and degrade ISIS, or degrade and destroy, to me, they're going to be on the run is not good enough.
Greg, if you're trying to prove to the public that you're not going to be a lame duck president for the last 12 months of your presidency, wouldn't you think you bring a little more fire and passion to it?
He redefines boring. I mean, that was a very hard sit. Plus, I had to go to the bathroom. But you know, when he talks, you feel like you're in traffic school. Like, you have to be there, you have to listen, and it's just so labored. But it does show you that, like, how his priorities dictate his energy. Imagine if it was reversed, if he had the same passion to fight terror that he does with climate change. Then it would be an entirely different president. But he can't choose the events that dictate his leadership. The events choose that. Imagine, I mean, you can't fight climate change and fight terror. In fact, you have to fight terror first, because you can't fight climate change if there's a dirty bomb in Midtown. That takes priority. So if he just prioritized, we can do both.
We can do both.
Yeah, but he'll be enjoying macadamia nuts in Hawaii. So.
You know when he had the most passion on that whole speech is when he said, "I got to go now. I got to go to Star Wars." That's where he showed the most personality.
You know, just picking up where Greg left off, in Paris, the whole world was really focused on the fact that 130-odd people had been slaughtered in the City of Light, and he insisted or tried to fit this climate change agenda into a scenario where people were more concerned about the urgency of the moment than they are about the long-term prospects about the planet. And I think that it is exactly that tone deafness that was later revealed when he suggested that the reason he didn't understand the country's anxiety was that he hadn't watched enough cable news. That the New York Times struck that piece from the
We stay right there because you're referencing climate change. The president, of course, wouldn't leave for vacation without taking a shot at Republicans. Here's what he said when he brought up global warming.
The American Republican Party is the only major party that I can think of in the advanced world that effectively denies climate change.
Really?
I don't know about that exclusivity, but they are. The GOP is unique in the fact that it denies or defies what seems to be the consensus science. I don't want to argue about climate change because I don't know. I'm not a geologist. I don't
You're
know.
not?
I haven't. All I know is this.
Geraldo, you're everything.
It is, although
I
that
know.
is true, Greg. It is December 19th, is it? And we're walking around in shirt sleeves. I mean, it is
That's called weather, Geraldo.
Yeah, well,
that's called weather.
We've had
that's
we've
not
had
climate change. That's
this
weather.
is the hottest year
we
in the
go.
history.
What did you say last
Yeah,
year when it was
that's
single digits at this time?
Well, I understand that. I understand that.
But by the way, he's
I
wrong.
suggested I don't know. My point is that rarely have we had a president so out of tune with the common sense of what is going on day to day, and I just think that that's why he's at 43%.
Was there a place in that speech for climate
Well
to take a
stated.
shot at Republicans on the basis
There,
of climate?
no, if you're President Obama, you're liberal Democrat, then there's always a time to take a shot at Republicans on everything and on climate change. I mean, it is kind of a shame. I sent around to you guys today. I remember very well a speech President Bush gave in 2008 in which he said, okay, if we're going to accept that the science is real, then let's move on. Let's do something practical, and here's what we could do. And actually, arguably, what President Bush set in motion was much stronger than the Paris Agreement, which changed a word from shall to should. I mean, and they want to be like congratulated and patted on the back for this great accomplishment. Charles Krauthammer has a complete takedown of it today in his syndicated column that people should take a look at if I'm giving reading assignments.
Was President Obama talking to you, Greg, today when he's talking about
I
climate
felt
change
like
and
it, but
Republicans?
sometimes when I watch TV, I think people are talking to me. It's a problem. Well, you know,
And the voices in your head.
At least someone does.
In this dinner of priorities, the steak is the terror and climate change is the green beans. That's the way it should be. He's got it opposite. But what this really is a war on coal. We have 1 billion people on this planet who aren't on the electricity grid. They are relying on impure fuels like their own fecal matter. They're burning that stuff, and they're dying. 3 to 4 million people die every year burning impure fuels. So basically what he's saying is, we're okay because we got our coal, but they can't have it. That's a problem.
You know
That's a priority.
And he's winning the war on coal.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at the coal stocks, coal companies are going bankrupt.
That was his goal. That was his goal.
They're all
Not
going
only
broke today.
They're all going
And
broke.
what happened to the stock market? We haven't even mentioned the fact that everyone lost a ton of money today. It dropped.
All right, we're not doing the stock market. Let's go. Let's talk a little
Climate,
KG.
stock.
Well,
Stay
you
right
talk
there.
about climate. That's
I wanna
10 years,
stay-
20, 30
let's go-
years from now.
Let's go back to what are we going to do?
Being broke on
Gitmo, the president today, he said he's going to keep pushing to close Gitmo and expects to transfer dozens more detainees in the new year. He actually thinks it's against our interest to keep terrorists we've already caught in our custody.
Guantanamo continues to be one of the key magnets for jihadi recruitment. This is part of what they feed, this notion of a gross injustice, that America's not living up to its professed ideals. For us to close it is part of our counterterrorism strategy.
I got something.
So, KG, I'm just wondering, if you do close, let's just say you close Gitmo, you take the 107 left, you liquidate them, so we just solved the terror problem?
He's so bad, that's not even like an F in a class. He's got to repeat the year because he's so confused. Does he think, what's his excuse going to be when he's closed Gitmo, okay, and they're all in like jihadi delight together in Yemen and other places, like regrouping? What's he going to blame it on then? That's his counterterrorism strategy?
Well, let me get Dana in here. Dana, somewhere 17.9% of the detainees that we've released back into they go back and they start killing us again.
Right, so their recidivism rate is not good, and we've known that for years. I understand the desire to close Gitmo. I just don't understand the rush. And I really don't think that... I don't, because, for example, there's no place for them to go. And we know that just from 2 weeks ago...
How about Supermax in Colorado, 6 floors?
You know who's against that? Hillary Clinton. You know why? Because people in Colorado said they don't want it.
You know why else?
It is a political problem. But can I say something? So yesterday, President Obama goes to the National Counterterrorism Center to talk about how they're on top of the terrorism issue. An hour and a half later, the administration announces they're releasing 48 prisoners. 3 hours after the Paris attacks, they announced they're releasing 6 more prisoners. I mean, the timing of this stuff is kind of
But they don't care because they're hell-bent on
timing
completing
aside,
their ideological focus.
But you avoid the main point. Guantanamo Bay prison camp was invented to evade the Constitution of the United States.
Nope.
No,
So
not-
they
not
wanted
really.
wanted to have prisoners, but
No,
in
no.
a place where they would be protected
They're
from
enemy
habeas
combatants.
corpus.
Can I
Let me
give-
finish,
Yeah,
please.
but-
Protected from habeas corpus. They wanted a place where they'd have no constitutional rights.
They're
Guess what?
not
The federal
Americans,
federal
Why
courts.
for terrorism?
The federal
They
courts.
don't
they-
get
constitutional protection.
Greg,
please.
this is a shyster's ploy. You can't evade the fact that Guantanamo was invented specifically to avoid the Constitution of the United
you
States.
can.
The Constitution doesn't apply when you're at war with enemy combatants. This is a new turf. This is enemy combatants are now on. It's not just that the battlefield is Earth. We have to admit
keep
that.
them on the island of Cuba.
Absolutely, and I'll tell you why.
Why? Why?
I'll tell
Yes,
you.
tell me why.
Let me finish, for God's sake. What does it tell you when no other country wants them? They're the shingles of the planet.
Put them in prison.
Nobody wants them.
Put them on trial.
There's
Put
no
them in
cure.
prison.
There's no
Hold on.
cure
Put them in
for
prison.
them.
You're gonna hold them
So
what?
the point
What is it
is,
now, 11,
we are
12
calling,
years,
we are
13
calling
years they've been
around
held?
trying to find a place for these people. Gitmo is doing the Earth a favor
This
by
is-
keeping them in one spot.
Hold on, Jerry.
You keep
Hold
them
on,
in Cuba.
And how is it a recruitment tool?
I
How
agree.
is it a recruitment
I agree.
tool?
Just kill them all and close Gizmo. That's fine.
But
They don't have
Kenji,
to come here,
can
and they
you
don't
just
have to
point
stay
out
there.
that if you
That's
do
what Obama
bring
does.
these people
It's
to,
ridiculous.
if you
Predator
do
drone.
bring them, as Geraldo suggests, to a supermax, you have to afford them proper evidence, proper
They have
constitutional
rights now.
protection.
I know, but-
Federal courts have deemed
I
them
wrong?
to have rights
Again,
right now.
nobody is breaking the law. He is closing Gitmo because he doesn't like the idea of it. It doesn't sit comfortably.
300, 400,
Not because it is a
$500 million.
violation of habeas corpus or because
Oh,
they're
so now money matters
entitled
to
to
a
the
liberal?
protection of the Constitution of the United States of America. They are enemy combatants. They
Why
are
keep
not
them in Cuba?
entitled.
Why keep them in
I
Cuba?
agree. Kill them.
There you go.
You know what ISIS wants? For us to believe that Gitmo is a recruiting tool.
Right. What a
You know
joke.
what a recruitment tool is? Winning. As long as ISIS
Yeah.
wins, they recruit.
Wait, you tell me why you can't keep them a prison of war camp in Florida, in Cuba, in
So they have a different
Colorado,
postcard
in
to
Montana,
send home? I
you pick a state, Alaska.
So your problem is location.
Westchester
You have a problem
County.
with location. That's a moral upstanding
So you
principle.
have a
he doesn't
prison
want them in
camp in a
Cuba.
foreign
You don't want them in
country.
Cuba?
Why in
Because of
Cuba?
the
You
rights,
tell me why.
because
I don't
we
have
put
to
them
tell
in
you
the
why.
Well, you should do.
I think it's doing
Yes,
it.
you do.
No, you have to tell me why it shouldn't be in Cuba.
Because it's a shyster's ploy.
that's not
why.
an answer.
That's
not an
exactly
answer.
what.
This is
Some
a favor.
bright person
This
said,
is a favor.
I got an idea. Well, keep him in Cuba because it's a foreign country. The Constitution won't apply, and it's only 90 miles away, so it'll be very
brilliant.
convenient.
That
for
was
you.
very
I think it's really
It was
smart.
very
They
brilliant.
can't
Extremely
persuade others to join their cause in
brilliant
other
as
prisons.
insider
But what is
trading.
the president's reasoning for closing Gitmo? Because it is a key facet of jihadi
I think that
propaganda.
I
Not
am-
because he says they're violating the law
the
or the rules.
president can say anything he wants. I'm telling you, Geraldo's reason for closing Guantanamo Bay. Guantanamo Bay is a constitutional embarrassment. It is a sore on the criminal justice system in the United States of America. It is
More
I just like
rights,
you spoke in
more
third
rights
person.
for terrorists. You heard it here, folks, only on this table.